Welcome back, students. In the previous videos we discussed about how the mRNA will be formed, how the proteins will be formed, and how the genetic code, that means the codons, the nucleotide sequences, how they are helpful in the formation of amino acids, and how the amino acids group together and forms a peptide chain, and how the peptide chains are folded together and forms a protein, and what is the importance of proteins, and what is the biochemical nature of the protein, and what are the compounds which are present in the protein. All those things we discussed. But now here we are coming with some new ideas and new topics today. So what is that? Okay, it's okay. Still now we discussed how the protein will be manufactured. The protein will be manufactured from DNA. That means from DNA mRNA will be formed, and from mRNA proteins will be formed. mRNA proteins will be formed. So now how this regulation will be happened? Something has to regulate. Other in school, principal, and in the class, teacher, like that someone has to be regulate the actions of the other people. Like that here the genes, DNA means here genes. One gene will give one mRNA, and one mRNA will give the protein. This is the thing. So now how the gene expression will be regulated? That means whenever we need high amount of protein, the gene has to be stimulated, and if we don't need that protein, the gene should be silenced. So who is regulating the gene, and at how many steps the gene will be regulated? So those things we will discuss now as a part of regulation of gene expression. Regulation of gene expression. Today's topic is regulation of gene expression. So what is gene expression? If the gene is expressed, then only it will form mRNA. If the gene is repressed, so you have to understand the different terms. These are the terms are with respect to biotechnology. We have to understand that expression means it will activated, repression means it will be inactivated. So at what steps, how many steps the gene expression will be regulated? This is the cell and this is the nucleus, and in the nucleus mRNA will be formed. So that process is transcription, and after transcription the modifications to form a mature mRNA, that is a splicing happens, tailing, capping, everything happens. So after that it is entered into the cytoplasm, and after entering the cytoplasm it brings the process of translation. So at how many steps? The first step at transcription level. At transcription level, that means DNA to mRNA level. So this is the first regulation. The gene has to be regulated at this step, and the second one, splicing level. That means the mRNA, the unuseful matter has to be removed, or else we can call that as a processing level. Processing of mRNA, that comes under processing of mRNA. That means this is the immature mRNA. Now here the capping has to be done, here the tailing has to be done, and the introns has to be removed, and the exons will be connected. So this is the processing of mRNA. And the third one, at this level, transport of mRNA from nucleus to cytoplasm. So this is also one level of regulation, one stage. And the fourth one, that is at translational level. At translation level. So these are the four levels at which the gene expression should be regulated. Either at any of the stages or at all the stages. It should be regulated. If it is not regulated, sometimes the gene will be expressed more, so that as a result of that, so much of protein will be accumulated. And if the gene is not at all expressed, it is in the repressed state, our body is facing the problem of deficiency of protein. So that should be properly, at what time it is needed, at what time it is not needed, that should be regulated. So that is known as the regulation of gene expression. And these are the four stages. And now, in the previous videos, we had discussed that polycistronic and monocistronic genes. So what are those? Polycistronic and monocistronic genes. Polycistronic and monocistronic genes. So what are those? That means from one gene, if you are getting more than one protein, that is known as polycistronic genes. That means so many coding regions are there. They will code different proteins. And monocistronic, one gene, one protein. One gene, one protein. One gene, multiple proteins. It means more than one. Multiple proteins. See here, you have to understand proteins means in our body, so many, our body is built up of with proteins. For example, hair, that is keratin protein. And for example, our digestive enzymes, sucrase, maltase, all the enzymes are proteins. Hormones, all the proteins are hormones. And our immune system will contain proteins, antibodies, antigens, all are proteins only. See, thousands of proteins are there in our body. So how they are manufactured, and which gene is responsible for the manufacturing or the production of which type of protein? It is a very vast subject that we can call as a proteomics, study of proteins. Which genes regulates, which genes secretes, which genes produces which type of proteins. And one more interesting fact I can tell you. One gene will be regulated by another gene also. For example, one gene is producing this protein. This is A gene producing A protein. So to produce this protein or not, that will be sometimes regulated by another gene at some times, or another protein, B protein. This protein will regulate the synthesis of this protein. You don't know that all we can call as a proteomics. The study of the extensive study of the proteins present in a body, that is proteomics. We cannot understand. This is a machine network. One sequence like this. This is regulated this one. This is regulated by this one, and this will regulate this one. That is a vast network in our body. So we are trying to understand which gene is responsible for the production of which gene. Like that, we are trying from 1990s in the part of Human Genome Project. So we will discuss what is that project, what are the goals of that project, and what are the results. We will see in the next video. Now we will see how the gene expression is regulated. How the gene expression is regulated. So here I told you in the previous classes that polycistronic genes are mostly present in the prokaryotes. That means in the bacteria, not in the eukaryotes. 99.9% of the eukaryotic genes are only monocistronic. That means one gene will give to only one protein. Now here we have a model That is, we are studying the regulation of gene expression by taking a model that is lac operon. Lac operon. So what it is and why we are studying this one, we will see now. Operon means it is nothing but operon is nothing but a functional unit. A functional unit or the operational unit of a DNA. Operational unit of DNA, which will codes for proteins. That means either enzymes, hormones, whatever it may be, all the proteins basically. So that is an operational unit of a DNA. For example, this is the whole DNA in our body. This is one gene. This is one gene. This is one gene. This is one gene. Like that, we have 30,000 genes. Still they discovered 30,000 genes in the human DNA. That is useful. But example, this is a fact that you should know. For example, our DNA is 100%. That is 2 meters, for example. That is 2 meters. Out of the 2 meters, out of that 100%, only 2% of our DNA is useful for coding proteins. Coding proteins. That means these are only responsible for the formation of proteins. That means 30,000 genes, 30,000 proteins. Only 2%. That means here see, you can observe, out of 2 meters, only 2% of 2 meters, that is very small length of DNA, is responsible for the formation of 30,000 proteins. And you can ask me, sir, what about the remaining percent, 98%? What about 98%? That 98% of DNA is regulatory function. That means this DNA regulates the function or the synthesis of that proteins. See here, 98% is used for regulation only. Only 2% is producing the proteins. So these are the facts. Now we will see what is a lac operon. See, as you know that monocistronic need not to study more because one gene, only one protein. But here in the lac operon means we are studying from the prokaryotes. We are studying from prokaryotes. That means, for example, E. coli, that is a bacteria. E. coli, there is a one gene, that is operon, which is a functional unit, which is responsible for the digestion of lactose. So that is lac operon. Lac means here lactose. The gene, which is the structural gene, which is responsible for the digestion of lactose, that is lac operon, present in the E. coli. Now, see now. This is the intestine region of the human body, and in the intestine region we have E. coli. We have E. coli bacteria. Now, why we are studying this one means that E. coli bacteria, if we are, whatever the food we are taking, that is the food for the E. coli bacteria. It will not synthesize its own food. It is an heterotrophic, and it is present in the gut, alimentary canal of the human beings and so many animals. Whatever that animal is eating, that is the food for the E. coli also. And we are eating so many types of food, and we are taking milk. So lactose is present in the milk. Lactose is present in the milk. And we are taking so many substances, and ultimately those are digested into smaller molecules. That is the definition of digestion. Complex materials should be digested into simpler materials. So ultimately our body will take glucose. And if you take milk, our body contains lactose. So whatever we are eating, that is the food for the E. coli. Now, how the E. coli will take this food? That to survive, no? That has to survive. So that is taking our food. So how? If the glucose is there in our intestine, directly the E. coli will take glucose. If E. coli is there, E. coli, it will, for example, normal rice is there and biryani is there. Normal rice and biryani is there. So for a young people, I had given you normal rice and in another bowl we have biryani. So the young people will choose biryani because they can eat and it is very delicious to them. But at the same place it is an old man. What he will take? He will go for rice because biryani will not digest it. He has to suffer if he eat so much. So the same principle here. The E. coli always favors to take glucose, and sometimes it will take lactose. Why? Because lactose is a disaccharide. It contains two different molecules, that is glucose plus galactose. These two will bind together, forms a lactose. So it is difficult to take lactose because it has to break down this one. But here already it is already breaked. Very simple molecule. So it will easily digested or absorbed. So E. coli always tries to take glucose. Understanding? For example, if glucose is not there in the gut, then only if lactose is there, that will take lactose. If both are present, it will take glucose only. And if the glucose is absent, then only E. coli will go for lactose. Understanding? Now, how this lactose will be digested and what are the enzymes responsible for the digestion of this lactose once it enters into the E. coli. So that details we will see in the lac operon. The operational unit which is responsible unit of the DNA which is responsible for the digestion of the lactose, that is lactose operon. Short form is lac operon. We will see now. Now I am drawing the entire gene that is responsible for the digestion of the lactose. And broadly this gene is divided into two segments. So the first segment is regulatory region. So that will regulate the function of the remaining gene. Regulatory region. And the total second segment, this is structural region. That means this is the main which will responsible for the formation of proteins. Structural region. Now, in the structural region, as we discussed, this is the polycistronic because this is done in the prokaryotes, that is E. coli. So these are polycistronic. That means it contains so many genes. This is one gene, this is one gene, and this is another gene. This gene is Z gene, this is Y gene, and this is A gene. So what they will do, we will see. And finally, here we have repressor protein or terminator or terminator. This is terminator. And now coming to the regulatory region, what we'll have? The first one is I gene, and the second one is promoter, and the third one is operator. Now see here, this is the structure of a gene that is responsible for the digestion of lactose. So this is the functional unit. So this segment of the DNA is known as operon, the functional unit responsible for the digestion of lactose. So lac operon. And this is the regulatory gene, this is the structural region. Now here we have to discuss two cases. Case 1. This is the E. coli bacteria. This is the E. coli bacteria present in the intestine of man, and at this time in the intestine lactose is absent. Lactose is absent. That means the lactose digestion enzymes need not to be produced by the bacteria. So what will happen? It has to stop the function, or otherwise it is continuously secreting the enzymes to digest the lactose. But here now lactose is not there. What is the use of even producing the enzyme? So this function has to be stopped. So here in the process of transcription, we discussed what we discussed. First of all, RNA polymerase will come and bind to the promoter region, and then it goes towards the length of the DNA and secretes the mRNA. So here now the RNA polymerase should not be go. If it go, it will secrete mRNA. If it secretes mRNA, then from mRNA it will secrete the proteins. But that enzymes, proteins will not be useful. So that RNA polymerase function has to be stopped first of all. So how it will be we can stop? This I gene, this is a repressor gene. I doesn't mean inducer. I here inhibitor or repressor we can call. It will releases an mRNA, that is repressor mRNA. Repressor mRNA. And this repressor mRNA undergoes translation and forms repressor protein. Repressor protein. Repressor protein. Now, normally this operator is present, totally it is present in the promoter region only, and it is subpart of the promoter. This operator will start or will induce the action of the remaining part. This repressor is going and binding the operator. So here what will happen? The function of the operator itself blocked. So then how we can expect this will go and stimulate that one? That's how this repressor goes here and blocks the function of the operator. So as a result of that, the RNA polymerase will not be forwarded. So as a result of that, the transcription will be stopped. If the transcription is stopped, automatically the translation is stopped. So like that, the E. coli is stopped producing the lactose. So this is the case 1. In the second case, here I have to tell one more term. We are discussing case 1, lactose is absent. In the second case, lactose is present. So here we are using the lactose with the term inducer. That means here the presence of lactose only is stimulating or inhibiting the function of that gene. So this is the inducer. If the inducer, that is lactose, is absent, that means if the inducer is absent, repressor will come and bind to operator. In the first case, here inducer is lactose. If the lactose is absent, the enzymes should be stopped. So the repressor will come and binds to operator. So that is the first case. And now the inducer is present, the lactose is present, so it should digest by the E. coli. So how it will digest? Now in the present second case, in the presence of inducer. So inducer is inducer. In brackets it is lactose. Inducer is present. Now what will happen? This I gene cannot, this inhibitory gene or the the repressor gene cannot undergoes transcription. Cannot undergoes transcription. So as a result of that, repressor protein will not be formed. So no repressor protein will go and bind to operator. Now this inducer lactose molecules will come and bind to the operator gene. So now it will trigger the process. So once the process is triggered, that means RNA polymerase will come and forms the mRNA. And from mRNA different proteins will become. So what are the different proteins? From Z gene, that protein is beta galactosidase. And from the Y gene, the protein is permease. And from the A, that is trans-acetylase. And once the function is enough, once these concentrations are enough, then the terminator, it will go and it will terminate the function. Okay, so now what is the function of beta galactosidase, permease and trans-acetylase? Now come here. This is the E. coli. And here the second case, lactose is present. So lactose cannot directly enter into the bacteria. Bacteria recognizes, okay, now lactose is there. I cannot take anything because everything is absent. Glucose is absent. I cannot take it. So ultimately I have to take lactose. So then the E. coli will activate it, and this acts as an inducer, and now beta galactosidase will release into the lumen of gut. Now at this place, this galactosidase acts as an enzyme and it will digest the lactose. Lactose is divided into glucose plus galactose. So this function of the beta galactosidase is breakdown of lactose into glucose plus galactose. Now here it takes place. Now how the glucose and galactose will enter into the bacteria? How? Now this permease enzyme is present on the walls of the bacteria. Permease enzyme is present in the walls of the bacteria. Now this permease will initiate the process, will enhance the process, and then slowly the digested lactose, that means glucose plus galactose, will start entering into the cell, that is into the E. coli. Now after entering trans-acetylase, that means it will do some modifications, acetylations, acetic group CH3COOH, acetyl group will add to this, and that is responsible for the further digestion. This is how the Lake operon will regulate the structural genes. Understanding? Now again I am telling you, understand carefully. This is the lumen of the alimentary canal, and in that we have E. coli bacteria. In the second case, lactose is present. So if the lactose is present and the remaining all the molecules are absent, it should take lactose, otherwise E. coli will die. So it will take. If the lactose is there, the enzymes should be produced, that means protein should be produced to digest that lactose. Now this acts as an inducer and activates the operator, and the operator facilitates the mRNA and further leads to the formation of different types of proteins. That means G gene responsible for the formation of beta galactosidase, Y gene responsible for the formation of permease, and A gene responsible for the formation of trans-acetylase. Now the beta galactoside will released into the cytoplasm, or in the lumen, and it will digest the lactose into glucose plus galactose. So digestion, the breakdown happens. So after the breakdown, the permease is present here in the membrane. So it facilitates or enhances the entry of the glucose and galactose into the E. coli. Then the trans-acetylase will come and do some modifications by adding the acetyl group, and then facilitates the further digestion. So this is how the lac operon is functional. And after that, if the lactose is absent, then what happened? Slowly again the inducer, here lactose is absent, so repressor protein will form, and that will block the operator. So the gene function should be stopped. Understanding? So this is the lac operon. In the next video we will see. And one more thing, this model was given by the famous scientists. Those are Jacob and Monod. Jacob and Monod. So they are given this beautiful concept of regulation of gene expression by taking an example of lactose gene, that is lactose operational unit in the E. coli. So in the next video we will discuss about Human Genome Project and what are the goals and what are the aims and what are the outcomes of the Human Genome Project and how it is helpful for the welfare of human beings. So we will see in the next video. Thank you.